I think as the words go, and now for something completely different. So I would like to just introduce you to my barn owl box I've got. I've been meaning to do this for a while, but it's just finding the right time because today I'm going to be going up on the box and cleaning out the old box from last year. And I haven't been able to do that up till now because the main reason is the ladder I need, I couldn't bring back on my truck because my truck was broken down and it was up at my workshop. But that is all fixed, as you know. So I've brought the ladder back, and as you can see just on that picture there, the ladder is up ready outside the box. So this is inside my lounge, my sitting room, and this is what I do watch sometimes of an evening when the barn owls are flying around and they're doing their thing. But very briefly, I'm going to just run through what box I've got, why I've got it here, and all about it. So I hope you enjoy it. So I have, at the moment, 3 cameras around and about my barn owl box. The first one here is on the actual landing strip outside, and you can see the arm of the ladder for the moment, that's there. This picture is obviously the most important one. This is inside the barn owl box, and when the barn owl lands on this side, goes in through the hole here, and they come out about here, and then plop down into the box. We've got a nice big drop there, so the young can't climb back out in the spring when they start to fledge, but that's the principle of it. And then they come in through this here, and then they've got the whole box to use. Now, the thing with the barn owl box is, as you can see, there's a lot of debris in here, and that there is a recent pellet. They were in the box last night. They were copulating in the box last night, and it's the sign they're about to start preparing nesting for this year. Barn owls can nest sometimes pretty early in a season. And the whole idea is I want to get this box cleaned out today because I haven't had a chance to clean it out. And all this debris, this is actually about 4 inches, but it should be 6 inches. There's approximately 2 inches of debris there that shouldn't be there now. I mean, it doesn't matter. And the birds quite like it because it's nice and deep. And all this here, everything you see is basically detritus, it's feces, it's old pellets, and it's the majority of it is regurgitated pellets or old pellets from their eating, that they've had food delivered or they brought food back themselves. And as the young have grown, they've regurgitated these pellets up. And when the young are smaller, a lot of these pellets just disappear very quickly. But as you get the older birds living in the box over the winter or roosting sometimes, they leave bigger pellets that are, so you can see they're more profound and bigger. But they all break down over time. They all turn up into this like kind of just mixed mess at the bottom. And in here, there's all sorts of bones from small vertebrates and shrews and all that kind of stuff in the bottom of the box. And basically, the bottom of the box is pretty rancid. But I'm going to go outside now, and I'm going to show you the location of the box, and then I'm going to show you me cleaning it out. There is my barn owl box, and it's on this gable end wall, which is east facing, and that's the key to it. Is barn owls love east facing walls for our particular aspect here because it's protected. The prevailing wind is west southwest, so east is perfect. And the barn owls can sit on that perch up there, and they can be protected from the wind and the rain. And often, even when it's raining, they'll sit up there and perch. They might get a few spots around them; it doesn't bother them. But barn owls' habits are basically to hunt over mixed farmland and mixed grassland. And when I moved here, I think, 18 years ago, but I've had a barn owl box of some kind up for the last 12 years. And this one, I think this particular one up here has been here for 4 years because I've had such success. I started fitting cameras into them and we started having a lot of fun. Now, I can't stream this live here because the logistics of it is that our actual landline our internet speed is only 2 megabits per second. It's a good 2 mega, but it's not really enough to stream. And the reason I can upload videos from my YouTube channel is because I tether my devices to my mobile phone, which has 4G. But obviously the data I use doing that is all subject to a monthly amount. So it's all a bit of a juggling act. But the moment I can get a better land speed, or they put fiber optic in here, which have been promising for 4 years now and still hasn't arrived. The moment I can get that, then I'll start streaming the barn owl box live. So you can see obviously right there is the barn owl box we were just underneath talking about. But right here is Nemo. But right here is one of the things I've created for my barn owls. This is obviously where I keep my bees. You can see my beehives down the end there. And I had this really cool idea when I bought this land that it wouldn't just be for my bees. Well, I didn't think of it for bees when I first bought it, but it'll be more for nature. So that's what I've done. So this was all mowed originally to grass. It was all mowed hard. I had the trees planted, but I planted more since. But I always wanted to leave this area here for us kids to play on, all that kind of stuff. And it's nice to have an open area. But at the time, I was mowing all this, and I should be able to show you a picture now how the land was. Probably from up that corner up there facing down, you'll be able to see just how big the area is. It's approximately just under 2 acres. I'm not sure the exact in hectareage, but it's a fair size. The hedges over here I planted are from the top corner there to the bottom one right there, 120 meters of hawthorn. These top hedges are hornbeam. The bottom hedges are hornbeam around my bees, so it's all manageable. And basically I've planted a grass that was pretty fairly slow growing amenity grass. So why did I let this bit of grass go long? Well, it hasn't really gone long because you can see what's happened. It's grown up, it falls down, it's grown up, it's fallen down. And because of me having barn owls in my box there, I wanted to create some habitat for them. And this is why this grass is so good, you see. In here, we have a deep thatch. Now, this is absolutely perfect habitat for voles, for shrews. I could cut this off here with a spade and you'd see, obviously, like a litter layer, we call it. And that's what is so important when you're trying to encourage barn owls into an area. You need to basically give them some kind of extra area where they can forage. Now, as an area where we are, I didn't really have to give them anything extra, but this is just my attempt to give them some extra forage. There is an expression I like to use quite a bit, and it refers to the film Field of Dreams. And the expression goes, if you build it, they will come. And that's what I did. That's what I used to do with my swarm trap boxes. That's what I did with my barn owl boxes. And I found that I've put now 4 barn owl boxes in 4 different places for clients, for my own. I've got another one we're building at the workshop at the winter now. And the main thing is, it's surprising that you don't actually have to provide the habitat. What barn owls are missing and what animals miss is places to nest, places to actually have their nesting or their roosting area. And that is what obviously is becoming so in short supply. What we're missing is big trees, and big trees with cavities, you know. What barn owls are missing in this case is they're missing their roosting and their mating, nesting areas. They're not able to find enough secure places. So I put this barn owl box up originally in, I think it would have been about 2008. I've got the date down somewhere, but it's not important. And originally I had a tree box on the side of my house, and I can show you the picture right now. And for the first couple of years, we didn't have much in it. And then I suddenly saw a barn owl going to the box of an evening. And I realized that it was actually populated with a load of young barn owls. And I read up about it. And I read that the parents wouldn't be there. So in the day when there was no one there, and I saw the parents leaving in the morning after giving them their last feed, that kind of thing, I worked it all out. I then went and looked, and this is what we found inside. We found a beautiful clutch of barn owls that had been successfully raised at this site. So that was the first kind of, wow, look what happens when you put a box up. It was really kind of awesome. So from then on, I left the next year, and then the box nearly fell down because it got rotten, and I realized we need to build something better. But then I got onto people like the Wildlife Gadget Man. Jason Alexander was excellent. Also, I have to say, I will give a shout to handycam.com, and they were really good as well. And I bought the original PAL video cameras that I'm going to be looking at today. They're still going strong now. But again, it's all about sharing. It's all about reaching out to people who know this kind of stuff. You've only got to now literally put in on the internet, and you can find out all about barn owls. And the most important help I've had, I have to say this straight out loud, is the Barn Owl Trust. They were absolutely fantastic. That's www.barnowltrust.org. They're a organisation based in the UK that specifically in the interest of barn owls, their development, their breeding, in helping every aspect of barn owls' ability to live with us in the environment. They're absolutely fantastic. I will put up the website at the end of the video I do, but I just wanted to say a huge thank you to them because you've given me so much pleasure. The fundamental thing with barn owls is when you build a box with a deep box design. And what that refers to is it means that you have a box that has an entrance hole much higher than the bottom living section of the box, so that the young barn owls cannot climb out until they're ready to manage their own balance and sort of flap their wings and and steady themselves, so that you minimize the chance of the barn owl succumbing to, after all that problem. And barn owls have problems, by the way. There's an awful long time between when the barn owls hatch as eggs and to when they leave the nest, and there's a crazy long time when things can happen, like one parent can die, they can become subject to famine. Often we have that here, or often one of the parents just goes off. I mean, the males are notorious for having 2 or 3 clutches at the same time, and them not maintaining that support, because he'll start off by having 1 or 2 females, maybe, this does happen, and then he'll realize what the pressure is and stick with one of them or stick with no one. He'll just give up the goat, and then you end up with 1 female left on her own trying to feed all the babies. And then what happens is you often have what they call siblicizing, where Big Johnny eats little Jamie because he's a lot smaller and Big Johnny is starving. And what happens? He gets eaten. And that, unfortunately, is nature, but it's what it's all about. It's what we're able to observe, and that's why having cameras in this box has been amazing. And that's why the whole experience of having my barn owls here is just wonderful, because it's enabled me to bring together all the land we've got. It's enabled me to put the box up, gives me something to really work for. We haven't had to encourage them into the area. All we've had to do is build a good box. And as I said before, if you get the box right, you can do that. You can do it really well. It's not difficult. You just need either a gable end wall that's about 4.5 to 5 meters high, or somewhere where you've got a tree that is on an east facing aspect that's got height that you can safely get a tree box in. There's so many areas, so many ways you could put a barn owl box. You'd be so surprised. And don't forget, I'm only putting a barn owl box up here. I'm not putting a box for a tawny owl, even though we've had a tawny owl once on the front of the box, which was quite funny. But I'm just gone for the barn owls because I've heard them around. I knew they were here, and I know that they are good, beneficial moppers-uppers of rodents. It's part of the food chain. They're absolutely fantastic animals, So on the box itself, I've got 2 cameras. One you can see on the top right there underneath the flap, and the other was inside. And I also have an external microphone. So the cables just come along down the gable end there, and they come along here, and then they go into my lounge from there. I mean, it's a bit of a mess. There's a bit of a pile of cable around there, but there you go. That's what works for me. Just to point out, you can see the barn owls have been here pretty recently. I know they were here last night, but they've been pooping on this buddleia as well. And that's why, because they sit up there and perch up there, and it falls down here. So it's one of the signs you've got barn owls roosting is you see poop and pellets on the ground, or poop only. Often the pellets are ejected high up somewhere else on a beam or something. What you must always remember as well is safety. This is obviously nearly 5 meters high, and when you're up there, it's bloody high. So up at the box level, you can see we've got a problem here. I'm gonna have to replace this, and I'm gonna have to measure it now so I can go to the workshop and make it. Look, it's just falling apart. Look, it's not important instantly, but I need to get that done. So the barn owls basically land on here, and they also perch on there as well. And they've got a fairly sheltered area they can sit under. Blimey, that's rotten too, because the water's been dripping on it. It's amazing what happens after only 4 or 5 years. We have some work to do here. But anyway, the barn owls can go in, straight in there, down they can go. And in here, we have an access hunters, so I can clean the box out. And you can see how rancid that is. All those pellets, that was the one there. You can see that dark one. That's what I showed you inside, but it doesn't pick up them all. Up there is the camera. You can see it actually shining back at me. It's a little bit lighter because it projects a infrared light, which my phone picks up. Okay, so that's the inside camera. And this is inside coming into the nest, and that's the exit for the barn owls when they go out. They come drop down to there, and they come through this chicane here, There's a chicane, and they're into this main nesting area here, back where we were before. It's only small, but you can see, and I've got this access on the front, which it means I can clean the box out when I need to. The camera is really good, but it just gets covered in spider webs all the time. That's one of my biggest problems, is spiders inside the box. And no matter what you do, they always seem to come back. And you only need the tiniest web and the tiniest spider that walks across this lens when you're in the middle of watching something and you can't see a thing. But it's all good. It's still under protection. The inside camera is absolutely fine. You can actually get to the inside camera from this trap at the end, which I'll go to after and clean from the inside. Because obviously what is, I like to reposition the camera each time and make sure it's in the right place after cleaning. So I've also got a microphone there that's up inside that inverted cup, keeps it dry. So I can hear the outside noises here. So it's really quite good. So there's two microphones. So this is okay for now. That's solid still. It just needs replacement. I'll replace the whole square here. I'll have to go and get that done this week and get some replacements done. It's surprising how much it's degraded in a very short amount of time. But such is the weather. Let's get this cleaned out, and then it'll be much better. The barn hours, it'll be done, and the cameras will be clean. So here I am trying to dig out this crusty bottom to the box. You can see it really is encrusted. I've got this trowel here that I'm digging away with. But once you get underneath it, you can see it actually can lever quite a bit away. And eventually I break through and get the main crust up, and it's actually about 3 inches deep, which is incredible. And by this time I've cleaned the majority out. Bit more. You see the size of the lumps we're getting there. Once you get underneath that, as I said before, huge, great pieces. Important to wear gloves because you never know what's lurking. You could easily stab yourself with all these bits of bone inside. I decided to leave that bit because it was a fairly light piece, nice and dry, and I've left that I crumbled it up at the end, so I knew that would be she had something left to make a nest with, or to start living back in the box when they're ready. The last bat I found was actually, I had to come back a second time. I thought I'd shifted it all, but that top front entrance was a real problem, because you had to get the arm right around there. But I got most of it out in the end. Just a question of levering it and scraping it away. I've actually dropped the camera down a little bit, but you can see the depth of litter from this side. It was absolutely enormous. Obviously I've cleaned the camera. I've cleaned this one. Much better picture. But what a good job done that is. Really pleased. So in the light of day, you can see this is full of pellets, little bits of bone, but it will make great compost for around and mulch around these trees. So I'm going to leave it down the bottom here underneath the barn box and rake it around them. And that's the actual size pellet, roughly the size pellet you get. What happens is, as the female starts to prepare the nest for this year, I've left a little bit in the bottom of the box, a little bit in there. She'll scratch around and break up any pellets that are there, and there'll be more pellets by then, by the time she starts nesting normally. And then she'll just scratch around and make use of what she's got, and it starts to go again. But we'll have to keep clearing the box out every couple of years. I think, in fairness, this box hasn't been cleared out for about 3.5, 4 years. There's a lot of debris in there. So that was a bit of an epic when you start chiseling away at that encrusted, rotten, rancid barn owl base. It really is absolutely concreted in there, because it's been walked and walked and more added and walked. I mean, the makeup of it is incredible. It's a solid mass. It really is. And I'm sure it's really high in compostable beneficial things, you know. So I'm adding it to my shrubs at the base of the tree, base of the wall there. But it's done. I'm really glad to get that done, because it was an important part of the year. I've got to get that repair done to the landing perch. But it won't really matter if it fell down, because as much as it's great for the barn house to perch on, there's another hole I know in the gable end near here that there's no perch at all, and the barn owls come and go from that, and they raise young every year from it. So what I'll do is I'll make another one at the workshop and come down one evening, and even if they're in it, as long as she's not nesting, and I know when she's going to be nesting, I know what to look for, I know the signs of her scraping, I know that if she's sitting on the floor in that one corner she always sits when she starts to brood, I won't bother her, and I'll just leave her from then on. But if she's not doing that and they're just perching, if you do disturb them of an evening just before the sun goes down, it doesn't make much difference, because I'll come straight back. It's not ideal, but it just has to be done sometimes. But the whole idea is I'll get that done this week, and I've left the ladder at home, so as soon as I've got that ready, I'll come back and put the new one on. So that's why I'm glad I went up there. I don't want the perch to fall off, because I love seeing those barn owls when they fledge, just to come out on that tray and be all there, looking around, experiencing the new world. And it's a lot of fun, and it's a joyous sight to see that you've given that home, you've made that difference. I just wanted to add, this is really important, if you want to get a copy of this, the Barn Owl Conservation Handbook. It's a fantastic book which is endorsed and brought out by the Barn Owl Trust. It is all about stewardship, everything you need to know about land management to help encourage barn owls to your area. But my own personal view is, if you build it, they will come. Just get the box right and they will arrive. That's what happened for me. If you live in an area where you've got access to fields, you'll be surprised. Barn owls are more than happy to be in an area amongst people, amongst vehicles, as long as they're not disturbed, as long as you don't go to their level, in other words, physical level, they won't fly out the box. They'll just stay there. They like to hide. They're happy just to do their own thing, hide away in the day, and come that lovely crepuscular moment, off out early evening to hunt. And that's the most magical thing you could ever wish to see. Get the book. I'll put the ISBN number up. It's a really good investment. You're supporting the Barn Owl Trust by buying this, and you are doing something great with what we can do at the moment. We've all got busy lives. It's something you can do, you can plan. It doesn't cost a lot. That box up there probably cost me about 60 to 70 pounds or 80 euros in wood, but I managed to use scraps for most of it, and that's probably why a lot of it's rotting. But it can be done. You don't have to do it. It's if there's a will, there's a way, and you'll find a way of doing it. So just get out there and do it. Take care. Bye for now.